Hello, everybody. This is Daniel. This is probably part two of a little cluster of things that I've been talking about politically. Part one was dealing with the media. Today, we're going to be talking about big tech. And by big tech, I mean everything from Amazon to Facebook to Apple, all these big major companies that have a lot of control, not only of what we see, what we have access to, what we do, and a lot of them, let's be real, they're corrupt. One of the main things big tech has been very bad about is censorship of information. Now, why censor information? Well, you learn in history that if you control the information, you control the narrative. If you control the narrative, you can control the perceptions of the people. You control the perceptions of the people, you heavily can control their actions. And that is something we have seen a lot. There is a reason why, when it comes to Democrats, a lot of them are in the big cities. And why, when you get outside of those big cities, it tends to be more conservative. And a lot of that is it is easier to control information in a localized area. So the control of information has created this false narrative. And the people in these cities are not getting, well, not only not getting the full story, they're not even getting the truth. A lot of these are blatant manipulations, context removed. They are pushing to control how you see things to dictate what you do. How else do you expect so many of these Democrats keep getting reelected? When if you actually look at their legislation, it is disastrous. Another current situation going on is the censorship of Parler, or Parlay, if you wanted to pronounce it with the French terminology, which I think is what it's based on. That's just my guess. You got Amazon basically kicking them off their platform. You got Google and Apple blocking your ability to get the apps. They claim it's because there's hate speech and everything going on. Now, I'm not on it very often, but I don't see that. But something I have seen is that anytime anything stands out as conservative, the left makes it a point to shut it down. Whether it's a social media source, whether it's a talk show, anything. They look for any excuse they can to shut it down. One good example, look what happened to Roseanne Barr. Now, I'm not saying what she said was okay or anything like that, but I'm acknowledging the context and the facts. She did admit that she was on a medication. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I've actually, tried that medication before. And you can ask my family, it does heavily affect your personality. It makes you much more aggressive. She repeatedly apologized, and yet they still completely wrote her off the show. Now, look at all these liberal sources. Whether it's comedians, shows, and all that. Many of them are just as toxic, ugly, oftentimes even more, but they get a free pass. Why is that? It's because they're serving a political agenda. It's okay to criticize certain people. It's not okay to criticize others because some people are considered to be immune. Look at the difference when it came to when those individuals try to storm the White House. Like I said, not condoning that action. Honestly, I have my concerns as to whether or not Antifa was a part of that. Because if you look at every other protest, whether it's Black Lives Matter or whatever, Antifa was always a very bad influence there. It always led to violence, and I think a lot of them would infiltrate in, push the violence, and then fall back. And then the blame would fall on the other organizations. That has happened consistently. You think it was any different there at the White House? Facial recognition acknowledged some of the people that are known to be with Antifa. Those are the type of people that get along well with conservatives. So anyway, I digress. But look at their response to that. They did a curfew, they shut it down, they put a stop to it. But look at how they handled things like the riots, where there were people literally getting assaulted in the streets, businesses being burned and looted. Why didn't they do a curfew then? Why didn't they shut it down the same way? Because the riots served a political agenda. When it came to the White House, Congress is supposed to be immune to consequences. They're supposed to be untouchable. So the fact that people could even try to get close to them was unacceptable. That is worth shutting down. But stopping rioting and protecting the citizens is not. We already have a dual-class system when it comes down to it. You have the powerful and what they're pushing to be the powerless. A lot of the systems in place are designed to keep people down, to punish you for trying to do better. Look at the entitlement programs, food stamps, and all that. You're better off not trying. You try to do better, you try to get off them, and they punish you to a point where it puts you right back on them again. They don't offer any real transitions to help you get back on your feet. They punish you for trying. Again, I digress. Sorry, bad about it. Sorry for the interruption. I'm going to try to edit it. I'm new to all this, so I'm still learning how to do it. So if it doesn't work well, this ends up being a second video. Oh well, learning process, right? Now, to get back on topic, when it comes to big tech, the censorship has been real. Real ridiculous at this point. So how do we address that? Now, at this junction, I would not say violence is the answer, because violence is not going to help anything. All it's going to do is feed into the problem. It would be hurting the people that work at these places. It would not be affecting the people running them. Now, what we do to solve this is simple. We go for the money. We stop using these platforms and these groups or whatever. We stop feeding them. One example is where Facebook and Twitter banned President Trump. He was actively calling against the violence. Facebook censored that information because they want people to believe it's his fault. And then they block him from their platform until after the 20th. That is utterly ridiculous and unacceptable. What I would advise people to do is, when you see these groups and everything that are pulling this crap, censorship, manipulation stuff, don't feed into them. Delete your social media accounts on any of them that do that crap, which is pretty much all of them at this junction. The only exception I know right now is Parler, and they're actively trying to remove that because they don't want you to have an option other than them. When it comes to Amazon, Apple, all them, which are also a big part of it, stop using the platform. Quit getting their products. It'll be difficult finding alternatives, true. But we need to quit feeding the problem, because the problem has grown strong to the point where it all but has control. And to be honest, it may be too late at this point, because they got their hooks in pretty deep. But if you're wondering what we can do about it, quit feeding it. Delete your social media accounts so you're not getting fed the constant manipulation, and I'll make a video on social media as well, going into more detail there. Quit using Amazon. Don't feed into these problems. That is the only way to work through them, because you can't attack them directly. You'll only be hurting civilians or people that work there. It's not going to affect the people that are causing the problem. You need to get them where it hurts, and that's in their business. Quit giving them business. That's the most effective way to deal with it. Anyway, I get to learn for the first time how to do video editing, so I can put this video up. So we will see how that goes, and I will talk to y'all later.